The following movement is a supine side bending movement which will help to bring attention to the sides of the waist. It will help to allow us to notice movement in the pelvis in a side bending movement, lateral flexion, and it would also help to free up the shoulders and the neck. So let's come to the floor. We'll lie down on the back. I'm going to have the knees bent, and you might need some support for the head, or if the head's comfortable just on the floor, then you just keep the head down on the floor. And with this one, your head will be turning a little bit from side to side. So if you do have a support, make sure it's fairly wide. So a folded blanket can be nice for this. And we're going to start with the knees bent, feet on the floor, just in a comfortable semi-supine position. And we'll have the arms down by the side of the body, turning the palms downwards. Okay, now slowly bringing the attention to your right hand. You're going to start to slide your right hand down to the end of the mat. And then just come back to the neutral position. So you're sliding the right hand down the mat and then coming back to neutral. Now as you slide your right hand down, can you draw your left shoulder up the mat? Come back to neutral. Right hand slides down, left shoulder slides up the mat. And come back to center. Now as you're doing this, you might notice that your head is just rolling to the right. So allow the head to roll to the right. This is just a consequence of you moving the arms. And also as you move the arms, one hand reaching down, so your right hand reaching down, left shoulder sliding up, you might start to feel some contraction at the side, the right side of your waist. You could even use your left hand just briefly for a moment as you slide the right hand down. Can you feel the left side abdominal oblique muscles contracting and releasing? So right hand slides down, left shoulder slides up, head rolls to the right, and the right hip is drawing up towards your armpit. So we're getting this hip hiking movement. And we're just trying to make sure that we're not arching the back as we do this. So sometimes we might tend to find that instead of drawing the hip toward the armpit, the hip lifts up toward the ceiling and we're using the back muscles. So if that happens, you could just first of all arch the back, release the lower back, and then slide the hand down and release to center. And you could repeat that a couple of times. Arching, releasing, sliding the hand. And that might help us to notice the difference between the muscles in the back and the side of the waist. So then we keep the lower back reasonably relaxed and the side of the waist does all the work. Okay, so we'll try that on the other side. So actually, before we do that, we can just notice any difference between the two sides, maybe even straightening out the legs and just noticing if there's any difference that you feel between the two sides of the body. So maybe the shoulders feel a bit different, the sides of the waist, two sides of the body might feel quite different. Okay, let's do that on the other side. So feet to the floor, palms down. And we're going to take the left hand, slide it down the mat as the right shoulder draws up the mat. And then we come back to center. Left hand slides down, right shoulder draws up. And we come back to center. And again, as you're doing this, you might notice that the head will roll to the left. So we're allowing that to happen. And also you might notice now the left hip drawing up towards the left armpit. So we're engaging those abdominal oblique muscles that are involved in our side bending movements, lateral flexion. And again, if you find that your lower back on the left side is doing all the work, well, go into that pattern. So make your brain clear of what it can feel by arching the back, feeling the back muscles contract, releasing the lower back, then sliding the left hand down. So you could try that a couple of times. Arch, release, slide the hand down. Arch, release, and slide the hand down. Okay, and then come back to the neutral position, maybe even again straightening out the legs, just see how that feels. I just want to take a little moment in between the movements just to notice what might have changed in what we can feel in our body. Okay, so then let's alternate that. Bring the feet to the floor once again, palms down. Now we're going to take the right hand, sliding the right hand down the mat, left shoulder draws up, head will roll to the right, and the right hip draws up towards the armpit. Back to center, sliding the left hand down, right shoulder slides up the mat, head turns to the left, left hip towards armpit, and then back to center. And that, now we can just go from side to side, alternating, like we're swiveling the pelvis around that central point as the arms, one arm reaches down, head just rolling nicely now. Okay, when you've done that a few times, you just come back to center, relax the arms, straighten out the legs if you can, and just see how that feels for yourself.